I'm trying a new recipe today. I wanted something to make using a chuck roast and pumpkin because I wanted to celebrate the season and use the pumpkin for something other than pumpkin pie and carving jack-o'-lanterns. And my October Martha Stewart Living came in the mail, and there is a recipe in it for beef, pumpkin, and shiitake soup. So that's what I am making for dinner today. And I also have to reorganize my preps. They're kind of at 6s and 7s. I've been working from that extended pantry quite a bit lately. So I need to get it reorganized and then put up the things that I got in new last week. So once I get dinner started, I'll pull those things out and I'll get to working on that. And I thought I would bring you along with me. So let's get it started. This video is brought to you by Apron Diva. Pretty and practical, we believe that an apron can be a homemaker's best accessory. And today's apron is the Charlotte. It is one of our vintage style pieces. Well, of course, as I already mentioned, we're going to need some beef. So I picked up 3 pounds of choice beef chuck roast, and this chuck roast was $6.99 a pound. Luckily, with my Kroger Plus card, I got it for $4.49 a pound. But even so, this chuck roast was $14. So this is definitely going to be a pricey meal. But it will serve probably 3, if not 4 meals for us. We need a pound of pumpkin. We also need 8 ounces of shiitake mushrooms, which I could not find at my Kroger. So the substitute that I was able to locate for the shiitake mushrooms were Bella mushrooms. So that's what I got. We need a whole onion cut in half and peeled. So I'll be peeling that in a minute. We also need 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, a half a teaspoon of black peppercorns, a sprig of basil, and this basil is dried, all my fresh is gone, a bay leaf, and then a couple of sprigs of thyme. And the other thing that I'll need to do is I'll need to put the chuck roast into a pot with 10 cups of water and bring it to a boil and then let it simmer for a little bit so that I can scoop off any of the, or skim off any of the little impurities that rise to the top. You know when you boil meat, chicken, that kind of thing, you get this little white foam. Well, I need to skim that off. Oh, and I could not find a bone-in chuck roast. This is what they recommended, was a bone-in chuck roast for the additional flavor. But at my butcher shop, I was able to find what they called dog bones. But these are just beef bones. When he said he had just put the bones into the bags. He had just deboned the chuck roast and set these aside. And you can get them in the freezer for small dogs or big dogs. Who knew? So I picked up some of these, and I'll put a few of these bones in with the beef while it's simmering so I can get all the goodness from that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the beef into the pot, and then I'll get this pumpkin peeled. I think it's going to take me a minute to get this taken care of. So let's get started on the beef. And you guys know I'm old school. I always wash my meat. And I'm going to cut it into large pieces right now while I'm getting it in the pot to boil. But by the time it's actually cooked and it's tender, I'll shred it into bite-sized pieces. Here's my 10 cups of water. Now I'm going to bring this to a boil. I'm going to add a couple of these chuck bones. And then these 3 will go in the freezer. I've got dessert in the oven. I got to put the topping on this Marie Callender Dutch apple pie. This is the most delicious topping. I always have this pie on hand for Thanksgiving and Christmas and a mini Sunday dinner. Now back in the oven for about 10 minutes and it'll be good to go. And this beef chuck roast and the bones are starting to heat up. Here are the beef bones there, and the water's just starting to heat up. And I'll just set it over here on the plate with those. So now I have to remove the stems because the stems are going to be simmered with the beef. I find it's just as easy to just break the stems off. But the stems are going to be boiled and then simmered with the beef and the onion, and then all of that is going to be removed once the beef is tender. Now we're going to get this pumpkin peeled, and this is going to be more than an ocean. This is going to take a minute to get done, so I'll come back when I've got it peeled. I'm going to just skim these impurities off of the top. And so far, all we've got in here is the beef, the bones, and 10 cups of water. We'll add our other goodies in just a minute. You can see here that the meat is starting to cook. You see it's starting to get a little browner. So I've got this pumpkin peeled. I use this peeler to do that. I use this for squash and pumpkin and things like that. So here are the peelings, and I will put them in a dish so they're ready when I'm ready for them. The other thing we need for this, which I forgot to mention, was a Napa cabbage. And I need to put in a couple of the outer leaves to get this started. So let me rinse them off. Let's just kind of tear them in half so they actually fit into the pot. And now we'll start putting the things in with our meat so they can simmer for the next 2 hours. And then I will get this pumpkin sliced up and cubed up and have it ready for when I'm actually ready to use it. So I'm going to add my half of the onion, peppercorns, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, the bay leaf, sprigs of thyme, sprigs of basil, the mushroom stems, the pumpkin peelings, and then the Napa cabbage leaves. I feel like I'm making broth. I'm going to give this a gentle stir so that all the seasoning is dispersed. Now I'm going to partially cover the pot and let it just kind of simmer for the next 2 hours. And it's already starting to smell pretty good. And as I said earlier, I feel like I'm making beef bone broth because these are some of the things that I would do, minus the mushrooms. I'm going to clean up my mess, and then I'm going to get started working on those preps. And these are the little pie pumpkins. They're sweeter. You know, maybe I should save these seeds. I think I will. So now I'll cut this pumpkin into bite-sized pieces. We're going to end up with about 2½ cups. So the beef has been cooking for a while, so I'm going to take it out of the pot and strain the broth out. Then I'm going to shred the beef up, put the beef and the broth back into the pot, and then I'll add our other goodies, the mushrooms, the onions, and the pumpkin, and the cabbage. So let's get that started. Hello again. Yesterday I did not get my prep shelves reorganized like I planned. Life just got in the way. So once I got dinner done, we had our dinner, and then I went to bed early for the night and thought I would get back at it today. And some of the things in these bags are things that I had purchased weeks ago to put on the shelf, but didn't because I had planned to reorganize the shelf. So today is the day that I'm at least going to get it started, and we'll see how far I get. So right now I'm taking things off of the table in the dining room. You know, they say every room has a shiny sink, which the shiny sink is the flat surface in other rooms. And in my dining room, the shiny sink is the dining room table. We don't use it for much. Special occasions, holidays, but other than that, we don't use it. And so it's an easy place for me to just put stuff there, to dump stuff. It's a big clutter zone. So I'm going to get that taken care of today, and we're going to get these things put away. I'm gonna get started by getting everything off that table. I know you probably want to see the table, but I'm kind of embarrassed to show it. I am ashamed. This flat surface is where I just stick things, but this is real. Miss Denise does get overwhelmed at times. So my task, as I said, is going to be to get all of this cleared up. And then over here on my prep shelf, the things that are up here are really a little bit at 6s and 7s. And then I've been using things off of here. I've got some holes there, and then I've got a few holes over here. And then these herbs here that have been drying in these bags need to come out and get in jars. So I really need to do some work on these shelves. And even this shelf over here on this side, as you can see, is looking pretty sparse because I've been using things from my preps. So Fly Lady Cat is going to be very, very disappointed in me when she sees this video. If she sees this video, I hope she doesn't watch this one, so don't tell her about this. One of my projects earlier in the year was to clear off this dining room table and have a nice, clean, flat surface. And I did that. It looked amazing. So what I'm going to try to do today is Dana K. White's method, 1 hour better, where I work for an hour and then leave it better than it was, but no worse than it was. And the thing she says to do is start with the trash. Some of the things that are probably going to easily be trashed are going to be things like these jars. I've been saving jars when I empty them, thinking I might use them for something, maybe for herbs or beans or something. But there are some of them that are a size that I know I'm probably not going to use them. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is go ahead and get these into the recycle bin. These are some of the recent preps that I bought, and I know they have not been frozen yet. So I'm going to put these in a box to remind me they need to be put in the freezer. Don't see a box right now, so I'll just put these in here. And I know these have to be treated. And I bought this on a recent shopping trip. Why did I buy it? I have no idea. And what's worse, I don't have anywhere to put it. That's part of why it was on the table in there. So I've got everything off the top of this table with the exception of these flowers. And these are fall flowers that I like to use to decorate it, but for right now, they don't go here. I'm going to take them back upstairs where they go. One of the things that Dana K. White says when she's doing her 1 hour better is take it there right now. If you have a home for it. I do have a home for this, so I'm going to take it there right now. Now this, I don't really have a home for. It usually sits here on the table or it's in the box when I'm not using it. And I'm not using it right now. I've probably dried most of the things that I've gotten in from the harvest, but I haven't figured out where it's going to go. So I think what I'll do for right now is put it up here, because I may be moving these things there. Ta-da! Oh! So now this table is clean. I'm not going to bother washing it off right now. I'm just going to leave it as it is. One of the things that I want to do is to put some cardboard or something flat on these shelves. These boxes and things like that tend to tip because of the wire shelving, but if I get something flat, like I've got some flat cardboard on this lower shelf here, whatever I put on it just sits erect. So that's what I'm going to do. And I might decide even to use a few containers that I've already got around here to corral some things. And there's a few things that I know is going to go back in the same place, but then some other things I might move. Perfect, dear. Okay. Thank you. So I'm putting the ones with the shortest date in the front and the ones with the longer dates in the back. So my husband said he would help with this today, except that the day that we were going to work on it was yesterday, and since things happened and I didn't get to it, and now today is Sunday, he's watching football, so, but he did come help. He always does. I'm going to rearrange how I have some of these cans on this can rack. I think what I want to do is have all of the meats on this one side so that I can find them, and then I'll move the chilies and that kind of thing and some of the soups over there. But let me show you what I've been talking about. This is the Grable country meat that I've been talking about, and it's made by some Amish farmers, and it is probably only about a 30-minute drive from where I live, but Kroger's carries it. And if you can't get it at your local store, Kroger's will ship it online, and it's right here in the US, so it shouldn't take too long to get it. They've got the beef chunks, and these are fully cooked, and this is the large can. The smaller can is like this. Either one you can do quite a bit with. And then this is the turkey, and it is all natural. This is just all white meat in this one, but this is a large can of turkey, pork chunks, as well as cooked ground beef. So they've got all kinds that you can get. Now, of course, Kroger has their own brand of roast beef and different things like that. There's other brands you can get. And I'm working on a 4-month food supply for actually a family of 4. So whereas it's just me and the hubby here at the house, I do have 2 disabled sisters that I will also put some things aside for. This is the whole boneless chicken. You get a whole chicken in this can, and it makes wonderful stews and soup and all kinds of goodies. I love these can racks. They're really quite nice. I'll put a link in the description box in case you want to check them out. So it's been a couple of days since I started working on this extended pantry, or my prepper pantry. And what I decided to do was just take everything off and then count everything and put it back on. So I've been taking an inventory using my extended pantry inventory list. So if you want a copy of my inventory list, and I've got one for your freezer, your fridge, your regular pantry, and an extended pantry with a shopping list and a grocery list, click on the link in the description box below, and then you can get access to that. But I realized when I was starting to reorder things that I didn't know what was here because I'd been using so much from the pantry, and so I realized there were some things that I bought that I probably didn't need to buy right then in lieu of other things that I did need. So one of the things that this exercise will allow me to do is get a pretty good idea of exactly what I've got so that I know what gaps I need to fill in. I may need some different little bins and things like that, and I don't want to go out and get anything until I know what's what. Because remember, that's what Kay said when I interviewed her on the show. She said, don't go out and buy new organizing containers for a project until you've got everything either decluttered or you know what's going to go where. Okay, so let me go ahead and get back at figuring out what I've got, and then I'm going to start getting some things back on these shelves. But I'm thinking I might want to get another one of these can racks right here, maybe to go on the shelf down there. And even though these racks here aren't filled, I just want to keep meat on these racks here. So I'll need to get more fish and things like that for these 2 shelves. And then a veggie will go here. And then of course this rack here is for vegetables like beans and soups and chilies and things like that. And then I'll have more canned goods there, and then also canned goods down there. And I've got all this stuff here on the table that I do need to get over here on the shelves. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing some of that. I've got carnation milk right there. I've got a whole carton of that. We use a lot of carnation milk for baking, so I want to make sure I have that. And then over here I put a lot of my tomato products, my peeled diced tomatoes, my chili starters, my crushed tomatoes, and just different things like that. You can do so much with tomatoes. And then of course my cranberry sauce. I only have 8 cans of that, but I use it quite a bit. You already saw where I put the tuna, the canned fish, and then I'm filling in canned soups and beans there. And I'll have more canned vegetables there. So let me go ahead and start getting some of those in. We eat a lot of corn, so I try to make sure we've got a good supply of that here on the shelf. And this is just the Great Value brand. I picked these up over time at Walmart. I've got about 12 cans of these sliced white potatoes. They'll be great in soups and stews, or just with like butter and different things like that. This is the 3rd or the 4th day that I have been working in here on these preps. I'm not sure, but it was more than a notion. I always underestimate how long something is going to take. And I thought, oh, I'll just reorganize these shelves and I'll be good to go and it won't take very long. But it has taken much longer than I thought. And I've actually worked on it about an hour to an hour and a half each day that I've been in here. But I am so glad that I did, because one of the things that I realized is that I had no clue what was in here, and I have been using so many things out of here that a lot of the things that I thought I had, I used up, or I almost used them up. So this has been good. And as I've been working in here, I've also been doing an inventory so that I can actually know what I have in here. When I use something, I can mark it off, or I can see the gaps that I have so that I know what I need to fill in. But at this point, I'm just going to finish taking the inventory so that I know everything that I've got on the shelves and anything that's not on this shelf where I may also have it. And then I'll figure out where these things are going to go. So this is what I still need to address, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. And this is probably where some of that stuff is going to go. This is where I keep my boxes of cereals and pasta and different things like that. But as you can see, it's looking a hot mess right now too, because I have been using from it. And it looks like I've got a couple of bags of herbs that I need to also address. To see more of my homemaking stories, click here. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying, you are not done yet. Click on the link in the comment section below and check out another of my homemaking stories, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to visit our sponsor, Apron Diva, at www.aprondiva.com.